welcome back to Project Independence in You here at WCWP.org 88.1 FM. Also on Project Independence in You, you can listen to live on the app WCWP Radio, and you can just tune right in. It's a very easy app. You just kind of listen as soon as you sign in. We were speaking with Mike Kelly from he's a executive director, North Hempstead SWAMA department, and also the commissioner for North Hempstead Solid Waste. And we got a wealth of information, Kristina. It was really, really great. Really good to have all those weird questions answered that I think I've always wondered about,
No, it's so true, because it's these little, like I said, there's so many things that we just kind of take for granted. It's like this magical thing, like you put your garbage out and then like what happens?
Right.
And I think especially with the recyclables, it can be super complex and understanding the number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 plastics and whatnot. And I remember when we first had this, like when we first started, we had someone on from the town to talk about this, and it was like so many things that I had no idea about, that really sticks to you. They are certainly the golden nuggets of this program, that you can kind of take with you and do your part, to make, things better and to really understand, like, especially, it's like I'm recycling. I'm not thinking, now it's going to this plant and being sorted and then being like sold, and certain things that cost more than other, it's all these different things. But I'm happy about the cardboard boxes. So I mean, that was my takeaway from today's show.
I knew you would be. I wondered about that,
Yes.
I mean, when it comes to that recycle day at home, there's a lot of there's a lot of breaking down those boxes with that little Pampered Chef thing.
Yes, please. I do it all like by hand. I have like mastered a technique.
I had that same technique, but I did
like
it after a new manicure, and it ruined a nail. And going forward, I said, I'm going to just use this little tool.
I understand. I get it. But and I want everyone to, obviously we tried to get everyone's kind of questions in, and certainly things that have come up to us. But if you have any questions on specifics, please call 311 or 869-6311, and you can be connected to their department. And I think it's great that SWAM is going to send out those little stickers, because that one sheet is a quick glimpse into what is considered the metal, glass, plastic, and then there's the paper, cardboard, and then the yard waste aspect of everything. So I encourage people to take advantage of these programs. It's certainly wonderful.
So what's going on in this town?
Yes.
What's happening in North Hempstead?
So later on in the show, we're going to have County Executive Laura Curran is going to join us to give us some updates. That's a little bit later on, so that will be wonderful. And then next week, we have on Stephanie Sitterman from the Safe Center, Long Island. We've had Stephanie actually on our advisory committees. She presented about elder abuse and the different services that the Safe Center provides, because unfortunately during this pandemic too, a lot of seniors were isolated. So that's a rise in different elder abuse and scams and financial abuse. It all kind of falls under the same umbrella. So she is a wonderful, wonderful speaker, and what they do at the Safe Center is just incredible. So she will be on next week to tell us about that. So I think everyone should certainly tune in just to get educated on it, because whether you are or someone, I mean, Rebecca and I have been with PI for a very long time, and these kind of things come up a lot. We get calls either from a family member or a neighbor, that might be suspecting something going on at someone's house. So it's important to kind of recognize the signs and know what to do, and know there's different ways and organizations out there that can help you, safely. So.
And look how important this radio show is. Really, it's significant because we actually, we got a call last week about the show we did last week, really interested in Kathleen Ott's program, and, significant question. And, we're looking forward to connecting the caller, with the program and seeing how it can assist. So, I mean, it's
absolutely, and that's what I always say, Beck, is the best part of this show is that, it's not okay. We just did our show on Friday and then, all right, cool, like on to the next one. You know, it really, that resource becomes either a resource for the resident listening or for our own staff. You know, I send out to all of our staff members, you know, the different contact information for guests that we had on, or if the guest gave me some, you know, hard copy information, I try to get that out to everyone because it's really building the network. And I think that's what's great. And that's what's frankly wonderful about having this on North Hempstead TV, because I get a lot of feedback about seeing it on North Hempstead TV. And what, you know, Dan and I especially love and talk about is the fact that it now, with it being on North Hempstead TV, there's actually a younger audience watching it and being, you know, and learning, because a lot of this information isn't really just senior based. You know, yes, there are certain things, but, you know, we always say we've kind of transformed into this community kind of radio, which I think is wonderful and beneficial for everyone. So it's good stuff.
And
There's
it's,
wonderful
yeah,
information. And as Rebecca said, if you ever missed a segment, or you were wondering if we talked about something, you can just go to our Project Independence website, and there's a little search bar, and you could type in, you know, a keyword, and if that was part of a segment we did, it'll pop up and you could listen. So it's a great tool for everyone to use.
yeah, it is really, this is really a great tool. 311, our website, you know, it's just always amazing how many, to think about it this way, because also the pandemic, people were kind of, I don't want to say forced to watch television, you know, and because they started surfing television and they find these things too. And the fact that going forward, I assume, or maybe I shouldn't, will Project Independence and You always be now also on North Hempstead Television? Is that the plan?
I mean, that's the goal, you know. I mean, how do you get rid of a good thing? You know, it really, it's like I said, it really opened up, and I saw firsthand at the feedback and the calls of people saying, oh, I saw this and I want this person's information, and it's it was just nice to have another vehicle to get the word out there, you know. And I mean, look at the exercise program, you know, on North Hempstead TV. That was another thing that was extremely popular, that I think will be, you know, something that will hopefully kind of continue, you know, for a long time on there, because there's so many people that utilize that. So
yeah, I mean, it's really definitely on North Hempstead Television, because a lot of, like you were saying, this program now on North Hempstead Television is reaching the younger audience with the fitness classes for the seniors. People who tend to be more homebound,
right,
weren't able to get out to a live fitness class. Now, just for the first time in their lives, actually, are starting to exercise, or now they can exercise at home. And you know, I think we were talking about this last week a little bit, how you know, during COVID, essentially every senior became kind of homebound, you know, not because of frailty or illness, just because of the situation. So I think we learned a lot about homebound seniors who, you know, are homebound because of, you know, maybe physical limitations, or they don't drive, or other situations that keep them homebound. So, you know, yeah, definitely keeping, you know, North Hempstead Television going with the fitness classes and the radio show is definitely in our future, you know, a hybrid.
Absolutely. And, you know, and if you don't have access to North Hempstead TV, you know, for whatever reason, you know, I mean, the fact that you can go online and look at archived, you know, exercise classes and the radio show. I know that the North Hempstead has, you know, even on YouTube, there's a link of all the exercise classes. And then the radio program, if you go to WCWP's YouTube, that's all there. So there's a lot of different venues to kind of watch them, you know. And I think, listen, I know my own self too. It's very rare, because I work and I'm busy, that I get to listen or watch something, for that matter, live. You know, it's all like these recorded things. I mean, all my podcasts are, you know, pre-recorded kind of things that I listen to. So that's what's great about having these archives for the radio program and the exercise and different things that we do, because you can kind of do it at your leisure, you know. So it's a great tool, and that's certainly the silver lining of everything that we've kind of been through during this time.
You know, Kristina, there's a question I want to ask you. we are coming up to the 10th year anniversary of this radio show, Project Independence in You. Really, it's a short 2 months away, right? September marks 10 years that Project Independence in You has been on the air at with LIU, thanks to Dan Cox, and wonderful programming. And how does that make you feel? I mean, you have essentially been this radio show producer
since the beginning
for 10 years.
And since your mother, since this came up and said, Kristina, I think I'm going to need you to produce this show, which I never knew what that exactly meant, but I was down for the task. And it was just to see, the evolution. Listen, anyone that's seen or heard this one time, this radio program, I think clearly can understand how I feel about it, how I feel about everyone that's part of it. Obviously during the pandemic, we haven't been able to have all the different co-hosts that we had, but they're still part of, the radio family. And I think it's really special because when I see the difference it can make for someone's life, and, even being able to just showcase these wonderful guests. And listen, we have people from all different walks of life. They can be in the medical field or entertainment or a community-based organization. Whatever it might be, the topic that we're presenting, we're really fortunate to have people on who are passionate about what they're speaking about. You know what I mean? Even if just the prime example, we were just doing, a segment on recycling, right? On the surface, recycling, okay. But clearly Mike Kelly knows so much about it, and is invested in it and had tips and suggestions, so even something like that, you can see, that we're very lucky, especially in North Hempstead, to have people who are invested in whatever they might be doing. And to be able to showcase that is really a cool thing.
Okay. Well, we'll actually be right back. Rebecca Miller and co-host and radio show producer today, Kristina Lou.
That's right. We're taking over today, Beck.
We're the team. We will be right back with Project Independence in You.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You right here at WCWP.org. And Rebecca Miller, co-hosting and guest hosting today, along with Kristina Lou, who is the radio show producer. And before break, we were talking about that Project Independence in You is going to be celebrating its 10-year anniversary, and what that kind of means to Kristina, who's been the producer. And, you were talking a lot about the guests who really are all experts. People come, they're just very knowledgeable in whatever field they're kind of representing. Like, we said, like, here we have Mike Kelly from the town, who was, had so much information to share about recycling and garbage. I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah. But that's the point, and I especially love too when we've had, kind of just interesting residents, who are on and who had some kind of amazing career or whatever it is. Those are some of my favorite interviews, or where we have a veteran on, so just to hear people's stories too. And I also love to kind of get into why people landed in the career that they're currently in, and listen, outside the guests, just the hosts. I certainly, during this pandemic, the little radio show family that we had was certainly therapy for all of us. And I think also for the people listening, just to hear people kind of going through what you were going through and work. The fact is we have this show every Friday and we all, I think, can attest to the fact that things rapidly were changing. Sometimes things seemed a little more dismal than others. Yeah. And it was nice to kind of have this space. And I would always tell, everyone after the show, like it was just such a nice way to kick off the weekend. It was like a little vent session. We did like group therapy, and walked away. And, I think that came across to a lot of people listening too, that, we're struggling or whatnot. So it's my baby, and I'm quite proud of it to be turning 10 years old, which is, I think it's like a fourth grader, at that point. So it's certainly exciting.
Right. It is your baby. When it first, was it always once a week? Oh, was it always Friday?
Yeah, it was always Friday. Dan will laugh because the original hope was it for it to be daily, which I could not even begin to fathom. We always had it for 2 hours. And, we were actually in the beginning, which was tricky. We had guests for like 15 minutes were on. So
people would come in and out of the studio.
And we were in studio. And I think that was, a lot, because at the time, and I think even now when I'm booking guests, people hear 15 minutes and they're like, oh my God, how am I going to talk for, 2 15-minute segments? But in reality, as we know, that flies by very fast. So to be doing these interviews, it was just a lot of moving parts, and it was, kind of figuring it out. And then, really the switch to doing most of our guests are for an hour now. That was during COVID, doing it via the Zoom platform, because there was a lot people needed to say and get out there. So then it kind of shifted to an hour, because prior to that, they were usually just half-hour kind of blocks. So, we're kind of flexible. We figure it out. And especially, doing the Talk of the Town thing is great, because there's so much information that goes on in North Hempstead, and we realized we needed kind of its own segment to talk about all the updates that are going on in the town. So, it's all like a little evolution, growing process. So it's really nice.
It really is. Can you imagine? You went from kind of being totally behind the scenes to essentially having your own hour with, just providing information, for everybody regarding not just Project Independence, but also townwide. And, here you are now co-hosting or hosting essentially the entire show. So
watch out, world.
So watch
great. And I want to encourage, I get on top of North Hempstead, I get a lot of our community partners in the town send me whether they have upcoming programs or events. So I'm able to kind of promote that also, which is nice, because there's a lot of wonderful programs that, for example, go on at libraries. So to kind of promote that, especially during this time when people might not necessarily be fully out yet, is great. So you could always call 311 or 869-6311 if you miss any of these wonderful programs, because what is coming up, which is very exciting, that is going to be in person this year, is Fun Day Monday. Beck, I know you're involved in a lot of the planning of the Fun Day Monday world. So when is the first Fun Day Monday?
So the first Fun Day Monday is July 12th. And the Fun Day Mondays, the first 3 Fun Day Mondays, so that's going to be July 12th, July 26th, and August 9th, will be 2 hours essentially from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. However, if you come at 9 a.m., you can take the fitness class. So that will be with Margaret. We'll be doing like dance, fitness, Zumba kind of thing. And then every other weekend, every other Monday, it'll be Mike Mancini doing fitness. So we ask that you don't come at 9 o'clock if you, only if you intend to do this fitness class. Otherwise, we're still going to be setting up, and it's really, it's not safe to kind of find your picnic table or wherever you're going to be while the team is still trying to make things as safe as possible for everybody. So again, if you're not going to be taking the fitness classes, Fun Day Monday is 10 to 12. The cafe the beloved cafe will not be open. We're not going to be, at least for the first several that I know of, we will not be serving any food or coffee. However, you are, certainly welcome to bring your own snacks, your own picnic, whatever you'd like to be. I'm not sure we will be serving at any point because we're only doing 4 Fun Day Mondays this year. So, bring whatever you would bring to your own picnic and, certainly enjoy yourself there. We will have entertainment.
Okay.
Some of, all favorites that have come before that we'll be doing. And, I heard that Elvis is going to show up.
Oh.
And, it's just going to be some.
And then I know the last one in August, which is always my favorite, is the Salute to the Veterans.
That's right.
Event, which is always just a beautiful, special day. And I personally love that as well. And now, Beck, is there transportation going to be involved?
Yeah, so I just wanted, just because you mentioned the last Monday, that one is August 23rd. So Monday, August 23rd, that's going to be 4 hours. So we're going to do 10 to 2.
Okay.
Again, prepare to bring your own snacks. It is a longer time. Just make sure you have your nutrition and everything you would need during that time, whether it's your own coffee containers, things like that. So until further notice, just bring your own snacks, and it's going to be, all the things that we're used to seeing when we do the salute to the troops. We'll have a band. I think they're going to do the car show. We're going to actually have 2 entertainers come, the Nina Gordon band, and that's when the King will be there. Elvis, our Elvis tribute guy, Steve, will be there from 12 to 2. And he's always a favorite of our residents. He just does a wonderful job. In terms of transportation, please just call 311. There are buses available, very similar to how they've done it each year. So you do need to call 311 to get any information on transportation.
Right, because there are specific stops. That's what I want people to be aware of. They're not coming to pick you up at your house.
Right. It's not door to door. It's just like we've always done.
Right.
I don't think that it's ever been door to door for Fun Monday. But yes, you're right, Kristina. So just make sure you're at that stop designated closest to your house, and you get all that information by calling 311 or 869-6311. Something really, really important I'm just going to throw in there because we keep mentioning the phone number and with taxi transportation. So some changes are coming up, as we return to normal, and
yes,
the taxi
absolutely.
companies are getting much busier and ride requests are coming in. When you want a return trip, when you make your, they pick you up at home, then you go to the doctor or you go to the supermarket. When you call for your return trip and you're calling from your cell phone, if you have any trouble getting in touch with the taxi company, or if for any reason at all you ever need to call 311 from your cell phone, you have to dial the number 869-6311. If you dial 311 from your cell phone, you're going to get probably New York City's 311, and they will not be helping you with any North Hempstead questions. So just make sure, please program that in your phone. I would program the town of North Hempstead's direct dial for 311 in your phone for any future. So if you ever need to call North Hempstead from your cell phone, if you program it in your contacts, you'll have the number. You don't have to worry about it. So you would, of course, it would be 516-869-6311. So, if you could get that in your cell phone, that would be really helpful. And then 311, as long as it's the hours that 311 is open, they can help you out. And keep in mind, 4th of July is a town holiday, and 311 will not be open. They're open a lot of holidays, but they're not going to be open.
Yeah, there's like a select handful that they're not. But
right.
I know, so just going into transportation, I think it's important because, as you said, there are some changes that were effective immediately, which I know that there's no longer same-day rides.
Correct.
So you need to call at least one day in advance for your rides. So I think
same-day rides was a lot more practical during COVID, especially when the rides were lighter. The taxi companies had a huge reduction of rides, almost some of them 80% less rides a day. So we were able to accommodate same-day rides. We can't accommodate same-day rides anymore because now transportation's getting back up.
Which is a
Somebody
good thing.
calls, we
You know,
can't
and
guarantee. The taxi company can't say, oh, hey, we can reserve a car for you in an hour or later this afternoon. So it's always been a program where we call a day in advance.
No, and I think it's good, these things, because yes, it might be a little more inconvenient for someone, but in reality, the bottom line is it's because things are getting back to normal,
Right.
so it's nice. And I know that just yesterday, some other changes were
Yes.
effective. So what was that?
I believe that we are going to not be doing taxi transportation on the weekend.
Yeah, the food shopping, right? The food shopping.
No food shopping on the weekends, and I'll explain why in a minute. And no medical rides unless they're essential. We have some of our residents who have regular rides on the weekend that are for essential therapies and even dialysis, things like that. So those are essential medical appointments that really cannot be missed. But I'll talk a little bit more about the changes, and we will be right back with Project Independence in You.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You here at Senior Talk Radio, WCWP.org. I am Rebecca Miller, and I am your guest co-host along with Kristina Lou, who is the Kristina Lou Hour. So now we're back to the Kristina Lou Hour. The first hour, of course, we were both co-hosting and talking with Mike Kelly, who gave us a lot of great information. So before break, Kristina, we were talking about Project Independence transportation program. One of some of the changes that are happening right now as of July 1st, as we return to normal, ridership is way up, and that goes both for Project Independence riders and also all the taxi companies, people going back to work and just their regular rides. So effective yesterday, July 1st, taxi food shopping will run 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday only. So it's 10 to 2, Monday through Friday. And we're trying now, we're returning back to the time that we used to run food shopping pre-pandemic. And those hours were chosen because they are past rush hour morning and enough before rush hour in the afternoon, and also before when schools get let out. So the taxi companies now, a lot of them are down drivers. So we're trying to, kind of accommodate everybody, and there could really be delays, especially if you're choosing or need to travel during rush hour times. If you avoid rush hour, there's a lot more drivers available. Rush hour, anytime between, before 9:30 and really after 2:30, 3 o'clock, closer to 3:30, rush hour starts. People coming home, or they're arriving from their 3 o'clock shift ending in the city to the train. So rush hour is very complicated to be traveling. We can maybe get you to your appointment at 3 o'clock, no problem. But if you're there an hour and a half, your ride will more than likely be delayed, and it has a lot to do with traffic. So traffic is, we can't predict it. Sometimes it's like, wow, we got there really fast, and other times you're stuck, especially close to rush hour. So these are like little tidbits that
Yeah, and I
we
think it's
like
just to
to
keep the
share.
program, listen, running smooth on all ends. Obviously we want the rider to not be stressed out, and whatnot, and just the taxi cab. So it's just kind of finding that balance of little steps to do to make it, the best. But I see we're going to switch over. We have our fabulous county executive is going to be coming on to talk about all
Wonderful.
the wonderful stuff that's going on. So she'll be on shortly. I see her
Okay,
signing
it'd
on
be
now,
great to
so
have
that'll be
Laura
great.
back
But I
on.
think as far as transportation goes back, if anyone has any questions, they can always call 311 or 869-6311. And specifics, they can be connected to Shari, our fabulous mobility manager, who can kind of give us all the ins and outs of that and changes that are, evolving.
Transportation, Project Independence Transportation would not be where it is without Shari Baton. She
Absolutely.
is a fabulous mobility manager and just really knows the ins and outs by now. So welcome, County Executive Laura Curran. It's so great to have you back traveling. We're grateful. How are you today?
Hi, Rebecca. I'm great. Yeah, speaking of transportation, I am traveling. Happily, I am where cell service should be good. So we should have a good conversation today without any pesky interruptions.
Great. That's what we like to hear.
That's wonderful. So what's happening? Anything new? I mean, we seem to, the first question is always, is there any updates concerning COVID? Anything new? Any good news? Any unusual news?
Well, the news continues to be very good. Our positivity rate is about 0.3%, where it's been for a long time. The other day we had 15 COVID hospitalizations. Compare that with 2,400 at the height of COVID. About 79.5% over are vaccinated. That means having had at least one dose, and close to 94% of seniors 65 and over, the same thing. So
Wow.
it's quite remarkable. We're really ahead of the state. We're ahead of the country as a whole. And I congratulate and thank our residents for making this happen. And I know that transportation was the big topic right before I came on. I just came from a press conference with the Long Island Railroad and Nice Bus, encouraging people to consider public transportation this summer with these high vaccination rates. And they still have all of the protocols in place on the buses and the trains. A lot of folks are taking the train not just to get to work, but to go to the beach, to go to different downtowns, up in Great Neck, Port Washington. They're part of the Discover Long Island Downtown Deals program, where you can get a special app and get discounts. Also, if you're in the town of Oyster Bay, there's Farmingdale and Rockville Center down in South Shore where I live. But up in North Hempstead, you've got Great Neck and Port Washington, which are two fabulous downtowns. You can get discounts on all those downtown businesses, restaurants, shops, whatever it is. And it's a great way to support our local community. When you go to a local business, 66 cents of that dollar you spend stays in the community. So when we talk about recovering from the pandemic and empowering our communities and getting our economy going again, it's a very easy way to do it. You got to eat, you got to buy shoes. Why not do it locally?
Absolutely. No, that's great. And especially, with the nice weather, I think it's nice to get out there and go to these little shops. You can get lunch. You can make a whole day of all these things locally.
Yep. And you can go down to the beach. The Jones Beach concerts are happening. There's a lot going on. We're really reclaiming our summer with the concerts, the pool's open, everything's open. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, I love that. Reclaiming our summer.
I like that. Yeah, I feel like we need T-shirts, that
I
say
like
that.
that. I think that's the phrase there.
I do. I like that too.
Reclaim our summer. I love it.
Reclaiming summer. So we have a big weekend coming up. I know that there's a lot going on. Unfortunately, we've got some bad weather looking like maybe clearing up after tomorrow. What good stuff is going on in Nassau County for us over the 4th of July weekend?
We've got fireworks displays happening all around the county. We've got concerts, parades. It's a great time to celebrate our nation's independence. And just one word out there. I don't know if any of your listeners are fans of illegal fireworks, but I would would encourage them to stay away from it, leave it to the professionals. And the sparklers, little sparklers that kids like to play with, they seem very innocent, but actually most injuries due to fireworks are due to sparklers.
Wow.
Kids burn their clothes, they burn their hands. Unfortunately, last year, this wasn't a sparkler, but there was a fireworks mishap. 20-year-old, one of our residents, 20-year-old guy has a permanently damaged hand because of it. So, you can buy them out of state. A lot of people like to set them off at block parties and other parties, but you don't know what's in them. They're not registered to be sold here in New York. They're not safe. So I love fireworks, but I'm definitely leaving it in the hands of the professionals. Another thing, it's also very annoying. We're getting a lot of complaints to our police department about these illegal fireworks. Keeps them up at night, scares the pets half to death. And you may not realize it, but it can trigger PTSD in folks who are susceptible to that and aren't expecting this to happen. It's just not neighborly.
No, absolutely. That's definitely good. We'll leave it to the professionals so you can enjoy it, from a distance, watching the beautiful display, from the professionals handling it, I think is important. And now, Laura, we saw also that the capital improvement plan has recently been approved. So what is that going to entail?
Yeah, so, we want to make sure that we're shoring up our infrastructure. We're repaving roads. We're continuing our campaign to break records and paving county roads, which are the main arterial roads that people depend on to get around. We're looking to invest in our parks and our bridges and our roads just to make sure that the infrastructure is strong, which of course is good for our economy. If our parks and all of our cultural institutions are shored up, that's good. That's also good for our economy. It's good for our quality of life here. And, so that's just, one of the very primary functions of local government. It is something that we take very seriously. And another primary function of government is to keep our residents safe. So I know we've talked about on the air before how Nassau County was deemed the safest community in America last year by U.S. News and World Report. So I was very proud to announce yesterday that crime has actually dropped. Major crime has dropped again from this time last year to this year, right now, 10.5%. Wow. So we never rest on our laurels. We're always looking for ways to build trust with communities, and that's what keeps our communities safe. We're really making sure that we have local police granularly involved with our communities, whether it's cops on bikes. We've opened up the 6th precinct. That was a couple of years ago, adding more problem-oriented policing, those community policing to each of our precincts, and looking to lead, intelligence, data-driven, intelligence-led policing that really helps. And of course, always continuing to build trust. When you build that trust, we've opened the first 3 PALs for the first time in 50 years. We have cops on bikes in some of our neighborhoods to get, a little bit more of a human feel, so it's not always just the cop driving by in the cruiser kind of anonymously. We have a really good Explorers program, which is for young people, high school and college age kids. We encourage young people to get involved with the Explorers program. And we're also looking to increase diversity within law enforcement. So we are, working hard on how we can make that happen. And the Explorers program is a really great way to do it because of all of those young people. Most of them are minority kids. There are a lot of young women who are involved, and it's a great way to get introduced to a possible career in law enforcement. And honestly, the Explorers program is so great because if you don't go into law enforcement, if you find something else to do with your life, it gives you really good skills. It teaches you a lot about the world, about discipline, about just the importance of showing up. So I'm encouraging, our young folks to have a look at this.
Wow, there's a lot going on. And Laura, boy, you've been, we're actually going to take our first break. We will be back with Nassau County Executive Laura Curran on Project Independence in You, WCWP.org. We will be right back.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. You know, those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You here at Senior Talk Radio on WCWP.org, 88.1 FM on your radio dial. I'm Rebecca Miller. I am your guest co-host for today's show, along with Kristina Liu, who is the radio show producer. And today we are both the co-hosts for Project Independence in You. We're just happy to be speaking with Nassau County Executive Laura Curran, who has weekly been coming on the program with some really great updates. And, Laura, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your first term as elected as Nassau County Executive. And, what that's been like, and kind of a quick look back, maybe, if you will, of, some of the accomplishments and just some things that you learned, and whatever it is that comes to mind about this entire experience over these last 4 years.
Well, it's been a really quick 4 years. It's hard, 3.5 years. It's hard to believe how quickly time can go. But then think about everything that's happened. It's been very event filled. So, when I got into office, one of the first things I did was put some executive orders in place to really take as much politics out of government as possible, not allowing anyone that I appoint to serve in a leadership position in a political party, or to raise money for my campaigns or donate to my campaigns. I felt it was very important coming into office to set those policies as quickly as possible and as concretely as possible. And it's funny, when I was first campaigning 4 years ago, I made a promise not to put my name on signs. And people still come up to me and say, "Wow, I can't believe you actually did that." So, and then, we remember that one.
Yeah.
You remember that, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And we've been plagued in Nassau with, chronic deficits, budgetary problems. So I've been very fiscally disciplined. My team, I gave them marching orders. We've got to be responsible with every penny of taxpayer dollar. And I'm proud to say, we got into the pandemic. We actually had a bit of a budgetary surplus, about $112 million. But I was very concerned because 40% of our sales tax, 40% of our budget, we have a $3.3 billion budget. 40% of that comes from sales tax. So I was very concerned, would we be able to continue to provide services through our health department, through our police department, ambulances, all of the services, especially during COVID, that we really needed to keep going. And I'm proud to say, through fiscal discipline and through refinancing our debt at historically low rates, we're in very good position. In fact, we had a bit of a surplus before we even got help from the federal government. And that's without having to raise property taxes since I've been in office. So I'm very proud of that accomplishment. Very proud of our team. And, I think I've also shown that I'm not afraid to take on the tough fights, stuff that has been avoided for years and years and years. For example, a reassessment that had been avoided for a very long time. I knew we had to do it. It's another basic function of our county government. And I'm proud to say that our values were validated by the state, by independent experts. So I don't agree with avoiding a problem just because it's politically difficult. I'm also very proud of our public safety record. I do support the police. I do support law enforcement. I think they play an incredibly important role in society in general. And our men and women, whether it's the police, whether it's the sheriff's department, the corrections officers, deputy sheriffs, our fire service, fire marshals, whatever it is, they do a great job. And we always try to lead with community first, community service first. That is the bottom line of everything. The other thing that we're really working hard on is economic development. So, I know we've talked about on this air about supporting businesses throughout the pandemic, advocating for their reopening. when it made sense. Really kind of, I've joked that I have become the governor's most annoying pen pal with pushing for things to open, because we know we can trust our business owners to do things safely, and they have done that. The fact that there was so little transmission within our businesses speaks volumes to their professionalism and their problem solving skills. And, interestingly, through the pandemic, the county has worked much more closely with our school districts than we normally do, because normally we have 56 independent school districts. They normally work directly with the state. But because of the pandemic and because of our Department of Health, we've really created good, meaningful relationships with our school communities. And I've been incredibly proud of the work they've done, keeping our kids safe. I'm a public school parent myself, keeping their staff safe. And I'm looking forward to that relationship continuing to blossom. So it's been an event-filled 4 years. And I think we as a county, our residents, businesses, schools, we have a lot to be proud of.
No, and I think, you should be proud of yourself, as a county resident, Laura, and I've said this before to you, you do things while you are trying to make the community better. And regardless of whatever the politics fall, that's your main goal, and I think that that's why so many people are so receptive to you, because you aren't afraid of standing up for certain things and making it work. And I think it's certainly, the proof is in the pudding, in this whole thing. And it's a privilege to be a county resident, frankly, under, all the wonderful things that you've done. So.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. And, a lot of people are moving to Nassau. You see that, especially in the town of North Hempstead. People are really taking a fresh look at the suburbs. They see we have a good quality of life. Relatively drama-free, there's always drama. And I have to say, the beauty of serving on the local level, the blessing of serving on the local level, is you really don't get bogged down in the politics as much. We're talking about very basic things, concrete things like paving roads, taking care of the parks, right, contact tracing, public safety. It's real work. It's not philosophical. It's not ideological. It's just common sense.
Absolutely.
Laura, to say that you became a Nassau County executive during complicated times is an understatement. I don't think any other Nassau County executive can say they came into power during, I mean, in my lifetime at least, such a so divided, such a divided time. And then the pandemic. So, I mean, you had, I want to say a lot of swords against you. I mean, just a lot of things. And I think that coming out of it, the way that you did, the way that you led Nassau County, the residents, and, we have the most vaccinated senior residents almost in the country per capita, if you will. And I think you could do anything now. I mean, if you got out of, coming into power when the country was super divided, and so is and was Long Island, but it seems like it's coming together. This pandemic where, all these people, that are essentially your family of Nassau County, just illnesses and I mean, just an emotional time too. And, I think you really did an incredible job leading us through. And there was always something with you that there was always hope. It's always, there were times during the pandemic, I think, where people were just like, we all had it. I mean, whether you had COVID or you wanted to get the shot or you didn't believe what was happening, or no matter where you were coming from, you always presented that things were going to be okay. You really did. There was always hope, and we were going to get through this. We were going to get through it together. And, I just feel like someone, anyone who was elected into a role where they're, overseeing so many people and get through it the way you did, I think you could do anything.
Oh, I always say that's very kind of you, Rebecca. I always say you're only as good as your team. And I have a great team. We have 7,200 people who work for Nassau County in all of our different departments. We do a lot. And we also have great residents. And that's really what kept me going, was our residents, reaching out to them, reaching out to our business owners, talking to people in happy times and in very, very sad times. But, I always remember that's who I serve. I serve the residents. I am their servant. And when you keep that in mind, it kind of keeps your compass straight. It keeps you going in the direction that you need to be going in. So I really felt my role was to give the information and, as you say, to give a sense of hope that we have overcome many things in our time here on Earth as a species, and that we will overcome this as well. And to see that we are in a good position with our vaccination, with our economy, it sort of justifies that hope, that optimism. There is always a reason for optimism, no matter what's going on in life.
Absolutely. And that's that's kind of the overarching theme of our show all the time. And now we can reclaim our summer, which is the new phrase, the new phrase of summer. You know, I think you created your own hashtag there, Laura. I really
Reclaim our summer. Yeah, it's a good one. I like it.
You heard it here first, people.
You heard it. You're right. You heard it here first. So, it's just, on just like a human level. Yes, your team just amazing, and none of them signed up for,
That's right.
the whole everything that happened, and it's just nice to be able to be on the other end of it, and see, all the drive and all the things that you and the team did in Nassau County, and also in the town of North Hempstead, Supervisor Bosworth, especially with our seniors. And, she's always been such a senior advocate. I mean, and that's always been in her core. I remember when she was in the legislature, it was always calling, making sure that flu shots were happening for the seniors. And that was just, kind of that whole thing. And to see, our seniors most impacted, both in the county, of course, and everywhere, because of their age, that they were the most frail during the pandemic, was really, really difficult, of course, for everybody, and people like you and Supervisor Bosworth, who just, when it comes to the seniors, it's frightening, but here we are reclaiming the summer, and and all that.
I have to say, Supervisor Bosworth has been a wonderful partner over the past 4 years. And I reach out to her. She reaches out to me. She lets me know what I need to know. It's very valuable, because a lot of people don't care if it's a town service, is it a county service, who does what. They just want the job to get done. Mm-hmm. And to be able to have the kind of relationship that I have with Judy has been really helpful for me to do my job. So I'm very grateful for her.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it just shows partnership and everyone kind of coming together is really when the work gets done. As cliche as it sounds, it's really how the most beneficial things work out.
We are unfortunately at the end of the show. County Executive Curran, thank you so much for coming on, and look forward to speaking with you again. Kristina, great show, great co-hosting with you. We'll be back next week with a great show, Project Independence in You.
Yes, happy 4th of July, everyone.
Oh, happy 4th of July.
Go reclaim your summer.